sponsored.
This is North Kern News. We're here with Coach Pierucci. Welcome. Thank you for taking time in what I know is a busy week.
Oh, no, it's not a problem at all.
So, first of all, congratulations on your 10-0 season.
Thank you.
That has to be very special.
Yeah, when your school has been around for 90 years and it's the first time, it's kind of a cool thing to be a part of.
Are there any specific things you attribute it to?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be remiss if I didn't just talk about our seniors. They're a class that I think you try to develop over time with them, and they've pretty much have done everything I've asked. And it's not only that. I mean, because I think you always have kids that are always going to sell out. But it's the way they do it. You always try to equate what they do in the classroom and how they handle themselves to what they do on the field, and they've really epitomized the whole idea of doing what's right off the field is going to lead to doing what's right on the field when you really need it. Because I can't tell you how many kids on the team have a 3.5 and above in that senior class. So they know how to work their butts off in the classroom, and it's natural that it comes to them in everything that they do.
Wonderful. Well, number 1 seed, Division 5, first round bye. So how have you been preparing over the last week? Sometimes a bye is a mixed blessing.
Yeah.
Because you're ready to go.
Well, it was a blessing for us. The last 2 games of our season were very physical teams, Kennedy and Wasco, and so with physicality, and then with we're even though we have a few more guys up now, we're a 24-man roster. So when you get into grinding games, you have times where you get nicked up. So having the bye really allowed us to really kind of take a step back, start working on some stuff that as the season goes on you don't have time to work on anymore. Some of the finer points, really concentrate on those, and then really scale back the amount of contact and stuff that we did. So it was really a blessing in disguise for us. I don't even know if it was in disguise. It was just a flat-out blessing for us to have a bye week and get our guys healthy again, or as healthy as they're going to be for the remainder of the season.
So before we get into Dos Palos, you mentioned Wasco, and for our North Kern News followers, I would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about Rivalry Week. Such a unique week, so special. A lot of schools don't have what these 2 schools have. What's your perspective as a coach on that whole experience?
I'd be lying to you if I said I enjoyed all of it, because it's kind of, most coaches have to go through one homecoming week. We have to go through a second and put it on steroids. And probably the hardest part of it is the emotional side of Friday. The exchange rallies, it's an emotional time. I mean, you get charged up, you get excited, and most times you just have to worry about doing that before your football game starts. So you have to be able to really manage your team through the excitement of both rallies and not have them be so burned out emotionally that they don't have anything to give on Friday when we finally get to the game. And that even goes for coaches too. And that's why when I go to Wasco, I try to find a place where I can I've fallen asleep the last two years at the Wasco rally. Nothing against the Wasco rally. It's just I have to sit there, because you do. I mean, even though it's all done in fun, when you have things that are, they're attacking what we do. They're attacking the players and pseudo me. So you almost have to take a step back and go, I need to kind of separate myself from that and kind of tune out and relax my brain. So although I'll tell you what, Wasco has the best venue. I hate, and I've made it known, so it's not like I'm going to upset anybody in our administration, I hate that we do it in our gym. I just think you lose the quaintness, and if quaint's a word that you would use for this situation, but I don't know, the atmosphere is just so much more charged at Wasco, and it's because you're in a small environment. Usually when you have the requirements that you have at Wasco for kids, the kids there are usually a little bit more interested, invested in it, to where we bring everybody, and you have some kids that are just like, I really don't want to be here. And it ruins the environment. So going to Wasco, it's really cool, and I think when I went to school here, we did it in our theater. But that was when we were a lot smaller. So I've actually I'm pushing for us to get it back in there. I don't think I'm going to win that argument, but it's something that as a program you got to revel in, and we tell our kids, listen, this has been going on for a really long time. This is your turn to enjoy it. Now don't screw it up. Don't do anything that's going to bring any unsightly eyes onto this that's going to ruin something that is just so special and that nobody else does. Nobody, I mean, who else do you know that does exchange rallies anymore? It doesn't happen. And it's because I think even though the kids get involved in it, they still respect the rivalry enough to allow it to stay the way that it is.
And so many of their parents participated, so they grow up hearing about it. So that is an extra element as well.
Oh yeah, and it's taught young. I mean, and you talk about it as a staff. It'd be great to get a few Wasco kids over here, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind having a few of our kids go over there. But it's really tough to break that loyalty, especially when you talk about any other school. They're like, oh, okay, but you'd say Wasco. That's like a natural. Hey, my daughters are now. They've known about it because I went through the rivalry. But they get involved too. Like they hate orange. And what's funny is we go to Rio Bravo, they're orange and green. So now it's like, well, ours is the orange. Rio Bravo's orange is a certain type of orange. Wasco's more burnt orange. So we can allow that orange and we can't. So it's that whole thing, and it's friendly. But that week of sometimes it doesn't get friendly, and that's okay. I think that's all right. That's when all the talking starts on social media and between relatives and family members that are on both sides of the tracks. And for 1 week a year, I think it's okay to have a healthy rivalry.
We live stream the game, and as of now, I think over 15,000 views. When you factor in all the rallies and everything, I think it's over 50,000. And I mean, that just speaks to what this rivalry means to people who have graduated and families. And so your closest game of the year so far was against Wasco. So like you said, it was a physical game, and but really close outcome, and very exciting.
I just think it speaks to the rivalry. No matter what the records are, I think it's going to be when you have two teams that are well coached. I think what happens is throw the records out the door. Anything can happen, and that's kind of what happened. I mean, you look at stats and you would think that we were going to go in there and just blow the doors off. But when you're talking about the rivalry, it's not like that, and that's what you have to really prepare your kids for. Listen, things that you think that are usually have gone your way, they're just not going to go your way, and you have to accept that fact and just we need to go. But on the other side of it, we needed that type of game going into the playoffs. We needed somebody, or we needed the game where we were tested. That was the first time we were down at half to see how our mettle was as far as a team. And as far as a coach goes, to see your kids respond in that way was really good for us as a program, to see that your kids had adversity and were able to take the adversity and not melt, but actually rised up and did what they needed to do to pull out a victory. And like I said a million times already to a bunch of people, I'd take a ugly win over a pretty loss any day of the week.
What is it? I think Coach Belichick, I'm sure a lot of people say it, but play the whole game. Mm-hmm. And I think we saw that with both teams, that there wasn't a give up. It was which team was going to win, but they both played till the very last second. So
yeah,
well
and
coached.
that's where as a coach you hope to see that, because we preach it a lot, but sometimes it goes like this over some players' heads, and every once in a while you hit them square in the eyes and they get it. And this senior class and this team seems to understand it. So I'm lucky.
So let's talk Dos Palos. What are you doing to prepare? Do you have a prediction?
I don't do predictions. But Dos Palos is they harken back to kind of an old school way of football. So they're what you would see in the 80s. They're in an I-back set with a tight end, and they're running, the core plays of that style of offense: power, ISO, toss, trap, and then they throw it up to some athletic receivers. But they're very physical. So that's where, and I was talking to my team yesterday about this, is when you get into playoffs, both teams are generally, when you get this far, both teams have athletes. then it comes down to coaching and your guys' ability to execute. But the biggest thing, and this is what I think we learned last year, was intensity. And learning that the stuff that, and it's a trap that you get into, especially when you win. What worked for me weeks 1 through 10 in my intensity at practice, hey, we're 10-0. So I should be able to do the same and still get the same outcome. But that's not how playoffs are. It's ratcheted up another one. So now you may be this with a team, but if they bring intensity and you don't bring more intensity to keep the gap, now we're talking an even team. So last year we felt like we were a better team against Fireball in the playoffs, but they had an experienced team that understood what it takes to play in the playoffs. And that's where, we're going to pull on that experience. And I told the kids last year, that scar that you have when it feels like you're giving everything, you need to push on that scar to help you remember what it felt like after that game, and knowing that you were the better team, but you didn't do what you needed to do in order to match their intensity. They wanted it more. So when you get to times like this, that's really what it comes down to. And I think when you're playing a team like Dos Palos, you have to match their intensity and their physicality, or you allow a team like them to come up and beat a higher seed, and so that's really what we've been working on, other than the normal stuff that we work on scheme-wise. And that's one thing that I think our coaching staff does a good job of, is seeing what you do and figuring out ways inside of our offense and defense to take away the number one thing that you do and make you go to number 2 and number 3 to beat us. So it's not necessarily business as usual. It is business as usual, but it's with a little bit more intensity.
With being the number 1 seed and being undefeated, expectations, that's got to be a factor as well. And playing the lower seed now, they have nothing to lose. So I think the intensity there is involved too.
Yeah, it is. And the good thing is we've had to deal with that all season long. That you watch film and you're like, man, they didn't do any of this stuff. The teams that we saw always brought their A game. So they made more plays than what they show on film. They were able to do things that, man, that kid never played like that in the 9 games that we broke him down. But that's what you do when you're one of the top teams in your league or preseason stuff. People bring your A game. So I think that expectation is still there for us, but it's still understanding that the intensity level has to increase because it is playoff time. But when you talk about that, Tessa, I got a call yesterday from a gentleman that was on the 1958 or 59 team that won the last Valley Championship here at Shafter High School. So I got to sit down and talk to him for a little bit, and you start to get the whole idea that it is a special season for us, but when you start talking about a program that's been around, and then same thing goes with Wasco and BHS and East High, where their programs have been around for a long time, you have those individuals that they're still paying attention. And I think that's where, as a coach and as a player, you start to realize that it's not just about us. There's a lot more people that are involved, invested in how we do as a program. And it was just kind of cool to sit there and listen to him. And I asked him, how did you feel when he goes, Coach, I can still close my eyes today and I remember the gun going off. Because back then, that's what signaled the end of the game, was a gun. And the feeling that I felt. I can close my eyes and I'm still on. They played on this field and still feel that feeling of what it was like. And so I shared that with the kids yesterday, and I would get goosebumps just thinking about it. So it's a special thing for us to go through what we did this year. But at the same time, I told the kids yesterday, we're not done. Our goal 2 was to win league. Now we're on the goal 3. No one cares about if we don't do what we need to do. Everybody go, hey, you had a nice season, but, and so it's to keep, and it's hard. You got to keep grinding, and that's the hard part about it. There's really no end until the end.
Well, hopefully we will come back next week.
I hope you are too.
Talk again.
Sharon, can I interrupt you real quick? Sorry. Coach, I just want to talk a little bit of personnel stuff if we can. How's Alex Aguilar's hamstring doing?
It's not actually his hamstring. What happened was he took a shot on his knee against Kennedy, and he kind of bruised his Achilles tendon. So he's, you know what, I'd probably say if he's the healthiest he's been since Kennedy. So he's now actually able to run. Like against Wasco, he didn't run all week. So he was out of, he handed the ball off and he tried to throw, but I think if you were to watch the game, you're like, that's not usually the kid that's playing quarterback. He's as close to back to where he was as he's probably going to be the rest of the year.
You've had the opportunity to coach a lot of different kids, some really good quarterbacks. How special is Alex?
It's funny. My kids asked me yesterday, because they were doing this whole game, if you're on an island, you had to do that whole thing. You had to let somebody go and keep somebody. Well, one of my kids in my class goes, who would you keep? Brandon Jones, who I had at BCHS, who was a really good quarterback at University of Texas El Paso now, or Alex? And I go, so for football? And they said, yeah. I said I'd keep Alex because he's a complete player when it comes to that. Brandon could throw the ball and was smart and everything else, but his legs didn't match his throwing capability, where Alex's legs, he's a true dual threat guy. And that's what makes him special. You only get so many times, I feel like, as a coach, and especially in this sense. It's not like I'm at a school where I can recruit any kid that I want to come in, but to have the capability of coaching a kid like Alex that's not only a good football player, but he's a good kid. It's special, and it's something that I know for myself. It's not something I take lightly. He's a heck of a talent, and to be able to watch him every Friday is special.
Everybody likes to talk about Alex, but obviously he's got a very good supporting cast around him. Is there a player that you really were surprised who really just came up this year?
Actually, there's a bunch on this senior class, and even junior. But probably the kid that I think has been the most unsung hero out of all of us has been our running back, Pedro Avila, who has realistically over the last 2 weeks against Kennedy and Wasco, along with our offensive line, has really been the difference maker. To run against that physical front of Wasco like we were able to do when we knew we were struggling throwing the ball, and they, to put our team on their back and do what they did with Pedro is, to me, the unsung hero of this team is our ability as an offensive line to run the ball. And then, when you have a kid like Pedro that's just to see his stature and to see how he is and the way he plays like a 6'4", 240-pound man, but he's 5'5". I think I'm being gracious to that, and he weighs 175 pounds. Speaks to you talk about players, but to have that heart of a lion, and he's really kind of the guy that I would probably say that he's probably the unsung hero of both sides of the ball.
Well, he's like, I think 5th in the SSL in rushing yards, over 1,000 yards this season, like 4th in tackles with 80. He's not just a running back.
That's why he does it on both sides of the ball. I know we had 2 picks at the end of the Wasco game, but the one that really sealed it for us, he made the pick, which was the same play that they ran to get down near the goal line that they burned him on. He ended up being able to come back and kind of have retribution on that interception. So it would be Pedro, and I don't think any kid would probably be mad about me saying that. And we've had other ones too, and I don't want to undershadow what some of the other guys have done on our team, but I think Pedro's probably the kid that everybody's just like, and you can't help but not like the kid either. Because Alex, he has a quarterback mentality sometimes. Quarterbacks are quarterbacks. I don't think I need to say anything about that. But being a humble kid that Pedro is, I think it's really tough just not to be excited about a kid like that.
When you look forward to next season, I know we're not there yet, but you talked about what a strong senior group you have. What do you look forward to next year?
Well, next year is going to be one of those years that it kind of makes me feel like when I first got here, and we're going to be young. My quarterback's probably going to be a sophomore, like Alex was. Not the athlete, but Alex, but actually has a few other intangibles that Alex doesn't have. We're going to be young on the offensive line. We're going to be strong, I think, at our receiver core and our running back position. Our offensive line is going to be young. Our quarterback's going to be young. But I think the future's bright here. And over everything is the fact that I have one of the best coaching staffs in Bakersfield as far as I'm concerned. What they do with our kids and prepare our kids, and the amount of time that they give. And I know every staff does time, but I'm lucky to have the guys that I have because of my staff that I have. I'm able to defensively. Yesterday, we filmed practice from our drone, and I gave my defensive coordinator, who is like the assistant head coach to me, hey, I'm going to go upload film, and I just gave him the team. And a lot of coaches don't have that capability of trusting other guys to know that there's going to be no drop. So adding that into the mix, and then what we have coming up, yeah, we're going to be young, and is it going to be like this year? I hope so, but when you have youth, you're going to make youthful mistakes, but that's the great thing about youth is you have another year, 2 years with some of these kids. So the future's bright here, and I got a great administration that supports me in a lot of ways. So I'm really excited about what Shafter's going to be over the near future.
Is there anything that people should look for as they turn on the game on Friday?
You know what I'm really looking forward to, and I hope, because I still don't think people give everybody talks about our offense. Our defense has played lights out all year long. I mean, against Kennedy, even Wasco, the way that Wasco was able to do to them in the first half and then to come back in the second half and pretty much shut them out. I hope that people start seeing that our defense is really what this team is about. Our offense gets all the accolades, and I guess that's just kind of media. Nobody really wants to talk about, oh, hey, look at this great tackle. They want to see the catch and the touchdown, because that's really what people want to see. But I hope that people come out and they just say, man, Shafter's good offensively, but man, their defense is lights out, because they are. And that's the one thing I hope people see. And I just hope they see that how our kids represent this city really, really well, and that they continue, and they do take it seriously. And I don't think you get that in it. People in Bakersfield, and I've said it, don't understand what it's like to play when you have a city on your chest. And that's the great thing about Wasco and Shafter. We represent a city, not a part of a city, but a city. And over here, we really don't have that anymore, except for maybe McFarland. I mean, Kennedy or Delano now has 3 schools. So to be the only school in town, I think it's special, and we take our responsibility serious. So I'm looking forward to another opportunity to put on a good show for the city of Shafter.
All right. I'll give you the last word if you'd like to send a message to your fans.
Hey, come out Friday and watch the boys that really do care about you guys. And I know probably most people, but I hope Wasco wins this week too.
Do you have a prediction for them against Porterville, or?
It's going to be a close game, but I actually think that they could pull it out. So even though it's a 1-6, is it out right?
1-8.
1-8. 1-8. I think Wasco is a very underrated 8 seed. So I think what they do is going to keep them in that game, and they can beat them. And I hope they do. I hope all the SSL teams win, because it just makes our league look better. So good luck, Wasco.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for coming out.